And let me say this, because we do have to consider that men get the can get like the brunt of the cruelty from men like this. Okay, so to say that men don't understand or don't know how some men act when other men are around, we got to be fair here, okay? Because our children, even boys, young men, they can be preyed upon from older men who are who have malintentions. Okay, um, and and because uh, and because the child is a boy or the adolescent is a boy, a male, they're seen as like they don't need as much protection as a young girl would. I just seen, shout out to one of the girls I follow on TikTok. We went to high school together, but she was talking about how she has three sons, and she's like, "Yeah, I really hate how people say it's easier raising boys. Like, no, it's not easy in raising boys. Do you see what's going on with the whole a Quiet on Set documentary, and how all these young boys are coming out talking about how they've been sexually abused in the industry?" And that's a great point, because even like, and that's what I'm saying. Like this, that even goes along with this mentality to say that men don't know, because men a lot of times find out first. Young boys a lot of times find out first, and even if it's not to an extreme like sexual abuse, maybe it's just some sort of bullying. You know what I'm saying? Maybe it's just some sort of, intimidation, things of that nature. Boys or young men, they can pick up on things like that pretty easily, because to other people, as far as optics, it's like, you're a boy, you can protect yourself, and you're not in the same amount of danger as a young woman. She's vulnerable. She's, all the older men or even young men, like, they want her, so she has to be protected. It's like, for the boy, he's kind of left out there to kind of fend for himself. A lot of our young men have been actually sexually abused, and we're talking about from not only just women. A lot of people forget that, like, a side effect of white supremacy from slavery was, sexual abuse, or just trauma, sexual trauma, and not even just outside of sexuality, just abuse and trauma specifically to our young boys. Of course, we know that our women, our mothers, our grandmothers, our aunties, sisters, who was, essayed. I'm sorry, we were raped, and things that I'm sorry. Yes, I don't want to say rape, but like, we know our grandmothers is very much talked about how we were subjected to the white man's will, sexual will, but it's not as much talked about, when it's vice versa for our men. Like, our young boys were made to breed as well. It wasn't just us, it wasn't a one-sided thing. Um, and so that trickle along, I'm sorry, and so that, having a domino effect on today, we see, so a lot of our young men is desensitized to it. A lot of our young men don't even realize, some of the traumatic things they've been through, like how really horrific in nature it is, because to them it's like, it was allowed to happen to me, or this is something that I know a lot of other boys went through. It's like, so, this is something that's, this is regular, this is a part of manhood. And it's like, no, it's not. That's traumatic. That was not something that was supposed to happen to you that young. That's not something you were supposed to experience. That's not something that you were supposed to, and when I speak about that, a lot of times that's pertaining to women. But even when it comes to men as well, and honestly with men, it's shunned more. Imagine a young boy who gets essayed at like 8 or even 15 by an older man. That's a lot of the times, especially if they're past puberty, or they're going through puberty, they're into girls. That's not something they're going to like put out there. A lot of them is going to feel a little confused about it, because it's like, damn, I didn't enjoy that. But does that make me like gay, or does that make, like, they'll start to question their sexuality because it's something that happened to them, and they don't. It's not something that's just talked about again as much, and nearly as much as it's for women. So it's like, what outlet do I go to? If you're not close to a brother, your father, a friend, somebody you feel comfortable telling that to, then a lot of times they'll just hold on to it. That's something they'll just never tell anybody about. Even Drake, speaking about Quiet on Set, Drake himself said, the way it came out was the way it came out that how I'm sorry, the way in which it came out that he was being abused was because he had a girlfriend at the time who had no idea what was going on. She had no idea he had been going through the things he was going through, but his mother, I'm sorry, her mother picked up on it. She could tell that something was going on, something was wrong. And so, yeah, but things like that happen to young men, and I'm talking about Black boys specifically. Though things like that will happen to our young men, and like there's not a lot of justice for them because a lot of times they're quiet, and they're afraid to be shunned if they speak out, even though they're victims, So I do think I can't say that I always agree with that. I definitely understand where she's coming from, but I think specifically as Black people and Black men, especially, like, we understand the wickedness, like the depths of the wickedness that of man, because we've dealt with the worst, which was the white supremacists. So